Hi guys, welcome to another movie crew review. Today we'll be reviewing September 5.
The movie stars Peter Sarsgaard, Jean Magaro, and Ben Chaplin.
Taking place over the 1972 Munich Olympics, we follow the ABC sports team as they cover the crisis that unfolded with Black September. I'm going to start this review off, and I found this quite an enjoyable film. I think that the event that this film is based around was quite well told. I think it would go well together as a double feature with Munich, the Steven Spielberg movie, which kind of goes into the aftermaths of what happened during this. So you're going through it with the news team and you're seeing in real time how they're handling the situation. So we're not getting any kind of perspective what's happening in the rooms with the hostages. I think that it's unfolding quite at a realistic pace. It's an hour and a half movie, so you don't have a lot of character development, but I don't think it's needed too much. It may be its only downfall, to be honest, that because we don't have the character downfalls, they start to all merge together. But the main star for this film is really that hostage crisis and what unfolds throughout the film. I think that how they work out what they're going to do, because this is the first live televised event being done through satellites and sharing it with different TV stations. So I think it's interesting to see how they're going to handle a hostage crisis, let alone what they're talking about in terms of what they're going to televise, what they're going to hold back. There's a scene where they're talking about what happens if somebody's going to get shot, and they're trying to really work out what they're going to do. It's not just a case of there's a book for it, because it's the first time it happened. And it's probably at an era where, unlike today, news people are really trusted and most people are literally taking what they see at face value. There's nobody really questioning what's happening. So what they say is what happens. And if you're a fan of shows like The Newsroom, I think you'll enjoy this quite a fair bit. It takes a look at the old style of TV where they have to go make the chyrons and shoot them ahead of time, where they're trying to find people on the fly, sneak people into the Olympic Village to get footage by making like fake IDs and passing them off as athletes. But it drives the film in a succinct way and gives it a drive that is quite interesting. Moon?
So I had a little bit, I knew a little bit about what happened, but not too much. So it was actually very good for me to go through the whole journey. So they are basically in one place, and so the movie is unfolding through their perspective. And it was kind of refreshing. This sort of movie we don't actually get to see much, and the performances from everyone were pretty well done. So they will get in a bit of a pickle, like what we're gonna do. Like John was explaining about the situation that someone is gonna get shot, or broadcasting, and they're thinking like, what if the attackers also can see the footage or not? So the ideas they would come up with, they were very smart. So I don't know how true everything is, so but I would think it is. Uh, but the only downside is the best part of the movie is basically we don't get to see other perspective. I get why, but sometimes it get a bit tedious. So I don't know. So it's just the two-edged sword. So I'm enjoying the same part, but it got a bit tedious at the end. And yeah, Cameron.
Yeah, like Moon, I didn't know too much about this event that happened, and so for me, it was very educational. I think it translated so well on screen. I think all the emotions that are packed into this event really translated well to me. I think the terror and the tension when you're just looking at this window and you're just seeing this figure, and you know it's a terrorist, and they didn't know how to describe it at the time, and it was very all fresh, and the tension there was captivating. I was lost. I was actually like shaking a little bit, and just the moral high ground, or the line that they cross, and where it is, because they've never dealt with this sort of situation before live, without any sort of consequences. So I think that was portrayed wonderfully. I really appreciated that. Like as it's getting more intense and we're learning what's unfolding, what's happening, the moral ground, you got some people saying we should stop filming, like this is bad, the families can see what's happening and this and that. But then the head guy was like, nah, it's good viewing, we need to inform everyone. And it just really asked questions for yourself and everyone, sort of where's your line morally with this sort of depiction. So yeah, I really love this movie. I think the runtime was perfect. I think with the characters, yes, we didn't dive too deep, but they kept every character pretty simple in their role. So you knew what their specific role was, and so how they would help each other. But then the conflict they'd have with the same group, I think that was all done really well.
Yeah, I think that not developing the characters in this regard for this film was probably the right choice. I think if you had extended it like by half an hour just to give them some backstory or go into our lives a bit more, would you have gained anything? Not really. It would have just taken away from it. And then it would have started making the event less the main character and more somebody there the main character.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, the right thing. How it's shot is how ideally you want to frame it as focusing on that event. But even some of the things like when they use the live camera recordings from ABC, so the reporter that's on screen, that's the archival footage that was happening. So that was all the real footage they were using. They weren't reshooting like the hostages or like the interviewing segments or anything like that. They're working with the recordings that they have at the time, and I think that's really credit to them to be able to use as much accurate pictures as possible and get the story pretty correct. I don't think there was any like issues in terms of factual and accuracy. I watched a documentary on it. It was voiced over by or narrated by Michael Douglas, and it pretty much covered those points. I think it was a fantastic film in terms of that.
Yeah, it really did feel like you were in 1972.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
yes.
it was everything looked and sounded and worked like I could imagine back then. And just, yeah, how they went about everything, like you said, with the sneaking the reporter in, being an athlete, and because they had to take the film and bring it back. And so all that stuff was very interesting to see and to learn. And it was very, I was just captivated by this movie, honestly.
Even the mundane things, like for them to put hostages at the Olympic Village or to put the photos on screen, where like nowadays you just type it on the computer and it's call of the day. It's cool to see the person go and put all the little letters on the board and then shoot it. Or like when they have ideas, they're going to have to play this broadcast on a different network, we'll permanently put our logo up in the corner.
Oh,
so
that
that,
was such a good, yeah, I was like, yeah.
they're things that obviously it's the first time that it's happened. There's no playbook for it. So it's right up there with like the O.J. Simpson car chase in terms of news coverage being like a instrumental time for change and really showing something different. Because up until that point, there's always been terrorists, I would say, but not televised in that scene where it's like live and it's unpredictable. It's always been polished and cleaned up and produced into a segment. And I think being in Germany and it being for delegates of Israel, so people that are Jewish, hits that nerve and it lets you fill in the pieces of like World War II and all that. It doesn't bat you over the head with it, which is quite nice.
Yeah, it definitely elevated everything, being just everything happening and just the way it was shot. I think it was shot really well. Even when they're moving the camera out, like, because it's heavy machinery back then, it wasn't just a simple task of just grab the camera and roll it out there. They had to like physically push it out there and just, like you said, the mundane stuff, they just captured perfectly. All right, guys, we're going to give our scores.
Yep.
Moon, how many TV cameras out of 10?
I got 7.5 TV cameras out of 10.
John?
I'm going to give it 8.5 TV cameras out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to give this 9 TV cameras out of 10. Alright guys, make sure to like, subscribe, check out our socials, and we'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.